Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Grow and Clip Bonsai for Seniors. Today we're doing something different. We're going to do bonsai and sphagnum moss. I'm honoring Brian Batchelder. When I was doing bonsai, I wasn't doing it that good, but I was watching him, and he's a 30-year experienced horticulturist and traditional methods, 30 years and 11 years in the New Horizon in Bonsai. This is his book, New Horizons in Bonsai by Brian Batchelder. His book, believe it or not, used or 6 used. I checked it out. One is $6.99. The rest are like $34.95 and goes up to $549.99 for one that's in okay condition. And if you want a brand new book, it's $902.81. So I got mine 5 years ago for $15, so I lucked out. But these are some of the things that Brian did. He did everything, a lot of stuff in sphagnum moss. He had a 13-part series on PBS. Was produced by WLRN TV, Channel 17 in Miami, Florida. So those of you who are in Florida, maybe you can pick up some of his old videos because I can't find them anyplace. So let me put my book aside. Now we're going to do just unknown sphagnum moss. I soaked it since this morning, a whole bag of it. It's the long fiber moss. Now these pots are good, but if you're going to do it in moss, this is better. Okay, so let's get going because I had to dig these out and do this along early in the morning because if I would have did this on camera, I would have never had enough time to do it. So here's a tree that I dug out. This is a maple. And here's the taproot right here. So I'm going to cut this much of the taproot off. There we go. And cut some of these roots off. Right here. Now, you have to get most of the soil off of this, because if this bonsai is going to work, you're going to have to do that. Now I'm going to take a cutting right here because this is starting to get leaf spot. I sterilized all my scissors. So I cut it at a 45. I'm going to put this in the trash. Now this will go here, but you got to have strong fingers. I mean, if you got arthritis, it's not going to be too good to do. So then I have another one right here. I'm going to try to get 2 together. What I'm going to do is take this one too, and I got a new leader right here coming up, so I'm going to just cut it and throw the rest out because they're starting to get leaf spot. If I can cut it, there we go. Throw that out, and we're going to cut this big taproot off. And we got our roots. Now, here's the sphagnum moss. Now, Brian died from a very rare disease of sphagnum moss. It's an airborne one that was dry. So, mine, I put it all in water outside. I'm just mushing it up. So I'm going to put this a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. This is the moss all soaking wet. And all we're going to do is throw it into the pot right now. Now I'm using my wooden turntable because this you got to really press into the pot according to what he did. So all I got to do is press this into the pot real good. There. Now we're going to take our trees, and we got most of the moss off. I mean most of the soil off, and we're going to take the moss and stick it into the root. And we're going to take this other one the same way. We're going to get it right in real close. Now the roots are sticking out too much, so I'm just going to cut them. And we'll see if I can copy Brian's series. I wish I could find his stuff because he was very interesting. Now we're going to do like a twin trunk. We're going to put the two together. And we have to put it more on a mound because I don't have enough this moss into it. Now it's not going to hurt the roots by pushing it into the moss. I'm going to try to keep it as a double trunk like that. Now I use a whole bag of this moss, and you really have to press into here to get this all firmed in for the roots to really take shape and to grow. Now, if your fingers are weak, I got a piece of broken pot where it helps me really push it in. This has to be in here tight, super tight. Just push it in. Push it in. Gotta push it in. Gotta get that moss pushed in there. It looks like you got too much, but it's not. You gotta have strong hands to get this in there. So if you got some older grandchildren, if you're up in age and the arthritis is bothering you, have them do it for you. But you got to get that moss tucked in tight, and I mean tight. So I got this back here. Now I got to push it in some more, and we used already a half a bucket of moss. This thing was full, so you got to push it in. This has to be packed in good and tight. And with them holes, you're going to have perfect drainage. There we go. It's got to be pushed in real tight. So Brian, if you're up there watching me, hope I'm doing you justice. Now, he was my first real mentor on bonsai. Then I was watching various other bonsai artists on YouTube, and the two that once Brian was gone and off the air and I couldn't get his stuff no more, I kept searching and searching for people who were good with bonsai, who did root work and everything else. And there were two people that I found that were excellent in bonsai. Nigel Saunders, he's a very good root man, and same thing with Scott Winter. They're both excellent bonsai instructors too. Scott's from Let's Do Bonsai, and Nigel is from the Bonsai Zone. Now it looks like it's like I got too much in there, but it's not. You got to really pack this in. This got to be so tight in there that you're going to be able to pull it out. But you really got to press. This is a very... I mean, he grew trees. He showed trees on his series that he put in moss, and trees that would take usually 5 years to develop in regular ordinary bonsai soil. And this method here, it took like 2 years to get the results. So we'll see what happens. Now I'm just pressing it in using my fist. It's got to be in there tight, super tight. You're not going to hurt the roots because they'll grow. And how we trim this, I'll show you. I got a small miniature maple that I grew in sphagnum moss, but this really has to be packed. I mean, this got to be tight. That's why you got to have something hard to use it. You got to really be able to push it in there. Don't be afraid about adding moss. Then after a while, we'll see what happens. We'll wait a couple of weeks and see how we did. I still can get a little bit more moss in there. You can see that this bucket was full and I only got a little bit left. I wish he was, Nigel and Scott Winters could see them, and all you and everyone that is watching, because this man was, I don't know what he did with sphagnum moss on his trees was something else. But his book is very good. I like his book, but it's, I mean, I got mine like 4 or 5 years ago, I think, and it was like, I don't know, I think I was able to, back then they had more used books. I was able to get his book like for like 15 or 20 bucks in good condition. Very good conditions, were up there in price. Like I says, if you can afford a brand new edition, that's $900, that's almost $1,000. Well, they also charge you $3.99 shipping if you buy the $900 one, which is crazy. So see how I'm doing it? I'm still getting my fingers into this. You've got to get this in. You've got to pack this in. This has to be really pushed in. You got to push it, push it, push it. You got to really fire your fist into this thing. Get this thing pushed in and packed in. I think we got it, but I'm still getting more in there. And that's about it with the moss. And then we're going to leave it in some shade for about a week. Let's see what happens to it. And this is just long fiber moss. It doesn't cost much for that bag. It's like 10 bucks, $9.99 or $9.89. But you can see I am really pushing this in, and this is what you got to do. So you got to have strong fingers. So if you're young, or even if you're, I'm 73, so if I can do it, you can do it, unless you got arthritis. I'll probably feel it in the morning, but this is, you're just pressing everything out. You can see all the water I got in here just by pressing all of that. But now it's good and tight. I'll have to look for some moss. I can put it around here. But right now I'm just making sure this is in there good and tight. See there now, by pressing it, there's still a little air, it's only down about that much, so I got to get more in there and really pack it in. And I mean pack it now. The main thing is to get all the soil off, the original soil off the trees' roots. I mean, this thing had a long taproot, but moss is good at promoting root growth. So I got to get it in real tight around the trunk, and we'll see what happens. If I fail, we'll do another one. But I think this should work out really good, as long as I got it in there. Brian packed his so tight, he was so young and packed it in so tight that after he got done, he was able to pull this out and the root ball would be the size of the pie. But I'm not going to take that chance because I can barely get it in now. And I'm still getting deep pockets over in the corner here where it's going deeper, so I still got to pack more moss in there. I still got to pack it in. No matter what, you got to pack it in. Really push that in and get it in. Even if you got to use your fist, push it in. If you don't have muscles, you'll get them now. I mean, this is an inexpensive way to do bonsai, and it's supposed to be a faster, easier way. Of course, Brian did some trees. He took some nursery pots some evergreens and some, I think, azaleas or whatever, but he had to clean all the roots out. I forgot how many trees he had on there, but I mean, it was so easy. But his videos, maybe those of you in Florida can write WLRN TV and see if they got any videos and let them publish them. I know people will buy them. Hey, if they're going to spend $900 for a book. And the man was good. I mean, he taught you, sat down, and he spoke real easy so that you can understand everything, just like Nigel Saunders does and Scott Winter does. Hopefully I can do the same. But this is packed. You can see I don't know if you can see the water coming out as I do it, but you gotta really, really push this in, push it in, push it in, push, get it in, there. And that's our finished product. Packed in the best I can get it. You can see it all coming out the bottom, but that's what you got to do. You got to have it pushed in like that. So, my cut is a little ragged here. So just cut that piece off right there. And now before we do anything else, I'll wipe my hands so I don't get the cuts dirty. And I'll put some cinnamon toast lipstick on. I used most of it up because I was pruning my rose bushes, and this seals them up real good. So I got that on there, on that one, and on the top with that big cut because I don't want it rotting down. There we go. And this one, I'll just push this in more, twirl it. And there we go. There's your bonsai. I'll put it in the shade. Make sure it's watered. If you got sticks sticking out from the moss, don't worry about it. Just cut them off if it's unsightly to you. That's all you got to do. And I think we'll cut this one back to here also. That way there it'll fluff out. Sorry, dropped that in the wrong spot. But that way there we'll give this a chance for the roots to grow and everything else. So this should come out this way, and these should come out this way, hopefully. So we'll see what happens, or they might back bud here. But I'll let you know in 2 weeks what happens. You want me to get the camera back a little bit more so you can see it. So if you can't afford bonsai soil and you got good strong hands, this is what Brian Batchelder did. He did this for 11 years. 11 years. But like I say, if you're going to use the moss dry, make sure you put a dust mask on if you're doing it in a house before you put it in a bucket of water, or do it outside like I did. You won't have to do it. If you got any cuts on your hand, just wear some rubber gloves. So the old computer tablet says the clock is running down low fast. Today's Friday night. It's old time radio. Poop from doing all this. It's old time radio, big band night, dance night. So grab your loved ones, kick the table and chairs on the side. Grandma and Grandpa do the same thing. Put on some old time radio, big band music. Benny Goodman, Sing, Sing, Sing. That's one of my favorites. And just dance for at least a couple of nice dances, and then sit down and relax. Listen to the music with a nice big hot cup of tea, and have a good day, a good night, and relax. The clock's running low, so I gotta go. Take care, everybody, and have a great night. Thank you for coming to Grow and Clip Bonsai for Seniors.